AirExpo is one of the largest aviation events held in the Twin Cities area each year. It's produced by a group called Wings of the North, which is a non-profit group based at Flying Cloud Airport in Prairie, Minnesota. And like most shows, we bring in a lot of airplanes to the show. Unfortunately, because of the location near the Twin Cities, we cannot do aerobatic flying at the AirExpo. But the airplanes do fly. They make a formation and single passes down the runway so the people can get pictures of them. If you've never experienced the roar of a radial engine when it starts, it's something different than the modern engines. And the B-17, which comes to our show every year, name of Yankee Lady, they do sell rides on the B-17. They are not inexpensive since the cost of maintaining a vintage World War II bomber is quite high, but they do sell many, many rides. There are other airplanes at the show. We have a biplane that gives rides, or even just a modern light aircraft that you can buy a ride in. In addition, the local helicopter school brings over a couple of light helicopters that you can buy a ride in. So you can experience perhaps your first flight in something other than a jet airliner here at AirExpo. And when the airplanes are not flying, when they're on static display on the ramp, the people can get up close and look into the airplanes. We ask that they not touch them or hang on them, but you can get up very close to the airplanes, and it's a different experience than you get at a lot of air shows.
Well, I would say that anybody that's considering coming up here would certainly get his money's worth. I drove to get here this year. I drove from Melbourne, Florida. It took me 2.5, almost 3 days, but it's been worth every cent and every minute that I spent trying to get here.
AirExpo differs from some other shows because we do bring in quite a few VIPs each year. And these VIPs are in booths in our large tent, and the public is free to walk up to these heroes, really, to meet them, shake their hand, get an autograph, and hear their stories. And a lot of people come to the show because of the airplanes, but they discover the history that we're presenting here. And that's the purpose of Wings of the North. Our goal is to preserve and present aviation history, and the AirExpo is our big part in doing that each year.
I would sure recommend that everyone, to see these kind of planes. It's not going to be too long and we'll no longer have a lot of these aircraft. The B-17s, the AT-6s, all these gorgeous airplanes. And I can't talk enough about how wonderful the AirExpo is and how much I have enjoyed being with these people. He brings out all these wonderful old fellows, all my heroes, and I get to hear their stories, and I love it. I love it. Nowhere in the world did you get them all together like this. It's a wonderful experience, and please, folks, come and see the AirExpo here in Eden Prairie. It's great.
Well, I have to say I'm partial to warbirds because they make a lot of nice noise and they're fun to fly. I've flown this particular kind of airplane for quite a few years now, and it brings me back to my youth.
I love to come every year because the people are so friendly and they work so hard for this show to put it on right, and believe me, it takes a lot of work. But all the people have so much enthusiasm that it's a pleasure to come every year.
I got involved with the AirExpo myself about 6 or 7 years ago, and I got involved primarily because of the VIPs. Most air shows you can go and see airplanes and hear them, but the VIPs that come to our show are often one-of-a-kind heroes. The Doolittle Raiders, the Black Sheep Squadron, the Tuskegee Airmen from World War II, the River Rats who flew over North Vietnam during the Vietnamese War, the Korean Aces that come to our show, and even the pilots today who've flown in Iraq and Afghanistan. You can meet these heroes, shake their hand, get an autograph, and basically thank them for their service.
Well, I've been attending AirExpo since 2001. I think it's a great event. It's a great way to teach your kids history. It's a very family-oriented event, and you can't ask for a better time.
In addition to the aircraft on display, we do have other displays at AirExpo. We even have a large display of reenactors. They dress up as characters from the armies of World War II, even from the German army. And sometimes we have some folks who disagree with our portraying of the German army, but it is history. There was a German army in World War II, and so we have reenactors here that people can see the equipment from World War II and what these men used when they were fighting their battles. We also have, like any community fair, lots of food vendors. It may not be as big as the state fair, but you can get your share of calories here at the AirExpo. We do have a kids area. We have what is called in the business jump houses for the kids to get in and wear off some of that excess energy. We do have vendors with goods to sell, and we've found by counting heads at the gate that 35 to 40% of the people who come to AirExpo are actually kids 12 and under. So it is a family event. Our understanding is that it's the father that wants to come and see the airplanes, and he brings the wife and kids along, and they discover that there's much more to AirExpo than just the airplanes.
This year it's been fantastic. The weather's been awesome. It's a very family atmosphere, very much a family atmosphere out around the expo. A lot of things for the young kids to do, a lot of good airplanes for them to look at, a lot of airplanes flying, and just a really all-around family atmosphere. So I definitely invite you to come out and have some fun with us.
It really ought to be a magnet for the people in the area, because it's a family affair. People can bring their children and without any kind of worry. And there's lots of activity and keep them interested, and it's a day well spent.
AirExpo has a lot to see and do. It's a full day's activity. It's a great show to come out to with the family, have a fun day of aviation experiences, and enjoy our show. As I mentioned, Wings of the North produces AirExpos, and we are a nonprofit group, an IRS 501c3 nonprofit. And the two things that any nonprofit group needs is time and money. And I want to thank our sponsors who have supported us over the years to make AirExpo the great show that it is. Without them, we could not do the show. And I also want to thank our volunteers. Like most groups, we have a small core of volunteers who do all the hard work planning the show, but then we have over 150 volunteers who come out for the weekend of the show just to help us. And without both the sponsors and the volunteers, AirExpo could not exist.